Hey everyone, welcome to Locked In, the channel that brings the best college football intel to the modern fan. We appreciate all of you who've watched our channel and would love for you to become part of the channel by clicking the subscribe button. This will help us become more visible on YouTube and help us achieve our goal of raising football IQs everywhere through in-depth analysis in plain English. Thanks everyone. Stay locked in.
Welcome back to the second part of the National Championship film breakdown. Today, the Locked In crew is going to be looking at Michigan on offense versus Washington's defense. So, our big takeaway before the game was that Washington really had to key in on Michigan's run game. At the end of the day, that's how Michigan was going to win this game, and they needed to key in on it. J.J. McCarthy can make plays with his legs, and he's a great quarterback. He can put passes through a window on a rope. I mean, great pinpoint accurate thrower. But what really matters in this game is the run, and that's what we saw throughout the game. Is that the run is what Michigan's going to stick with, and that's what's going to be most successful, and that's what Washington needs to stop to win this game. And we'll see what Washington did here, and I think everybody knows they didn't stop the run. So first play, we'll see Michigan just film out. I think it was one of the first plays of the game, and they just throw a little top pass right here to the middle of the field, and you can see these linebackers that we just talked about just staying here. No real movement. So we talked about them all week before the game about how their linebackers is their downfall on defense. They just stand here while the tight end just settles down. Or I guess it's running back settles down right in beneath them and between them, and they don't even react to him. They just sit there, watch them. They watch JJ throw the ball to him, and then they go and crash down on him and tackle him. But that's what we'll see here. It's what we've seen before. Washington's linebackers just let them down, not really make any plays, and usually make wrong choices. Anything you'd like to add here, Rev?
It's a good job by Michigan. Throw the ball here. You got a heavier box, and as we see, like this is the second play of the game here, and Michigan is dedicating more guys up in the box. They have their outside backers. Not they're outside of the receiver, but they're still close to the box. And then you see your safeties. They run up with that motion, and in case pass is read there, I'm assuming that safety that you see that came down, he's coming in to fill something, but he sees pass, so he backs off again. But Michigan sees a heavier set box. There's more guys up towards the line. All right, hey, we're going to throw this. Let's get an easy completion to start the game off. Let's make them back off of us a little bit, which then Washington does do the next play. And all right, now we're back in the run game.
See three blockers get out in front of Blake Corum, and Blake Corum just never stopped moving his feet and get a good gain there. He gets touched within like 4 yards and just keeps his feet turning, gets a little bit extra. But you just see guard and tackle pull around the tight end. You'll see that's the split back. You'll see the fullback go in front of Corum, and that's just overloading them right there. You got everybody accounted for up until like 8 yards down the field. And Blake Corum gets a good run out of it, and you'll just see Michigan do this all night, win that numbers battle. However they can win the numbers battle on offense, that's what they did. Through motions, through moving their formation, that's what they did. So you see right here, tight end in motion, and they just hand it off right here. And number 20, who, hasn't really got much love or attention all year, takes it for 12 yards right here on 1st and 10. So, that's their third running back. And, there you got 1, 2, 3, you got 4 on 3 right here. You can't stop that. That's good alignment by Michigan. And Washington's safety crashes down outside. He takes himself out of the play, really, and number 20 just cuts it inside right here and goes for a little run.
Well, safety, the way they have this run defense up, safety is accountable for the edge. So he has to come there, because if he doesn't, the running back spills it out. So, safety does his job because he has to contain. You got the end that fights in. Yeah, and you got 82 on the other side too. So, like, no problem with what the safety did there. That is his role. What your problem is with is your linebacker who's sitting there, he's getting hand fighting with offensive linemen. He ain't gonna win that fight. And then you just, you get beat up front. Guys aren't able to get to their gaps and get into their spots as quick as you'd like them to. Linebackers get a little bit lost and blocked. Hands on them by offensive linemen. Hard to get off that when you're a linebacker, especially a smaller one. And they do have a couple smaller linebackers, and then a good cut by the running back. It's pretty straightforward. Is a good run. To this first quarter, Michigan has their way with running the ball pretty much every play that they run it. I mean, right here, you got Edwards who runs directly into his own guys because the hole got closed up, but the linebacker runs into where the hole is closed up. I'm assuming, I'm assuming that what he's seeing is he sees that running back take that step into what looked like a gap. So he's like, all right, well, I've got to count this. Well, what is kind of silly to me is you got two defensive linemen who are standing there that should be their responsibility. Now, I don't know this for certain, but some teams that I have heard of don't teach gap responsibility necessarily. They do a different form of technique when when it comes to defense. It's kind of a man reading defense where everybody has to make the right read to know where they're going. I'm not saying that's what Washington's doing here, but if, I'm just going from a gap perspective, that linebacker should be seeking the big open gap that's right to his right. And he doesn't. And Edwards, because of that, Edwards just pops it. All right, that hole wasn't there. Hey, there's a big one over here to my left that I completely missed. So that was bad vision to start with Edwards, but then he gets out of that. He realizes what's going on. Still good blocking by the offensive line. He just takes it.
Yeah, I mean, we knew this would be a big factor in the game, Michigan's run game, and man, did it prove to be right.
Yeah, I just don't. I'm kind of interested here by who's. Again, this is assuming we're going off gap, but whose gap is who? Just based on kind of where they go, you would assume that
he has A. So they should both have A right there, and it looks like both of these guys have B.
So right, and then you have 25 down here. Either he's supposed to get the B, and the end is really supposed to have the edge, or the end is supposed to go into the B, and 25 is supposed to be the edge player. The end gets blocked into the edge, and 25 does try and fight to his gap, but he fights way too late. And I mean, he's sitting in a spot where that B gap would, I guess, be his, and it would be okay, but the A gap is what opens up. So one of what it was the DT or it was that inside backer, one of them took wrong gap and got kind of blocked out of it, and then you just see a hole there. And then the second wrong step by that linebacker that we're talking about is he gets blocked. So instead of trying to disengage and see where this ball's going or have his eyes like to the running back, he takes a bad angle here. He just goes off to his left. So he gets kind of blocked that way. So he's fine. I'll just go that way. Well, that's running yourself out of the play. You're not going to make that tackle, especially not from that position and not against a guy like Edwards who has some flat out speed when he gets to the edge.
Yeah, we'll see it from a different angle here. And it's just inside zone. They're all just stepping left, blocking man on. Linebacker just comes up into A gap. I think that probably should be his gap. He just steps outside.
Yeah, it looks like that is his gap.
So if that is his gap, what he has to do is attack now. He sees that handoff, attack now. He has to get in here now where he's on the other side of 73, can't really get his hands on him. And then this play is dead. So 11 will have here. So it looks like he's here.
Yeah, so every gap is technically it should be accounted for.
But this guy,
you're still missing one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean every gap should be accounted for here. But I just you're playing a dangerous game when you've got guys who are supposed to get into run fits that are playing far off. And if you're asking this outside backer to run into and cover an inside gap, boy, that's hard. That's hard to do because if a lineman has a head of steam coming up over here, that's a lot to ask an outside backer to do. That's pretty dangerous. And you got one true inside backer that's having to try and read this. And as we've already discussed before, he does it. He normally doesn't do a great job reading, or most of their guys do. 42 is their best guy when it comes to reading the line. But we are right. We see this copy. You do see that gap open up, so he has to fill that. I guess
And
part of my issue is you just don't have enough defenders in the box.
Yeah, I mean that's all it comes down to, because they have that trips out right. You take 11 out to go cover the trips. I pretty much thought that they'd just stay cover one man all game, maybe cover two man, maybe even cover zero, because I mean they really only have Roman Wilson, and I mean their tight end made a few good plays throughout the game, but at the same time you could cover him you really could with one person and be fine. So I mean, commit more to that box. And you have 6 people in the box against 6 linemen. And what's even better than that is you have 4-on-4 right here. So I mean, that's good for numbers. So there's a blocker for every defensive player. So that means even if, you miss a block, it's still a one-on-one with Edwards, and I'm going to trust Edwards one-on-one. So, I mean, they have the numbers bad on one, and I guess that's why they like doing their trips over here to get them off balance.
Yeah, just from this copy, when you're that Mike, you like to see him immediately engage that gap, which is, again, you're talking about just a split-second difference here. And then you got that other, you got that outside backer, which it looks like to me, like from the onset, he's playing outside contained by his steps. But when you look at gaps, that doesn't make any sense, because the end, I'm gonna go back one more time just to look at it. The end is lined up on the outside, and he doesn't get off the ball to the left. He just gets blocked by the tight end. But by the way that this looks from that left, we're looking at the left side of the field here. Both guys seem to be playing the edge for some reason, and then the outside backer sees, oh, hey, there's a gap here that I should probably get into, but by that point it's too late. He's got to tackle all over him.
I mean, it's what we talked about earlier, them just not being able to read fast enough.
I mean, you got multiple gaps that you could run this through, and obviously Edwards takes the better gap because he knows to his right is a lot more defenders. So on his left, you got the safety, and that's the other thing I was going to mention. You just did a line with it. That safety has got to come down quicker to help with this too. He reads run. He's got to come down and help, and you can see him. He gets sucked too far up in the middle, and immediately wrong step. We talk about that all the time. 1 or 2 wrong steps will beat you. Safety comes down and trying to help with run support, but he comes down in the middle for some reason instead of that further on the outside. He's not reading anything. He's just kind of running himself in there, and he's out of the play just like that.
And Edwards goes for a touchdown to start the game off right for Michigan. Get on the board with a touchdown. Here we'll see. I think it's a run. Nope, it's pass to Roman Wilson.
Play action.
I think. Yeah, play action to Roman Wilson. I mean, that's just beautiful. I think it's play action flood pass. You should see him with a dig, and then you have a corner, and then Blake Corum is in the flats for you. They're not flooding one side, but so it's kind of a flood play.
It's a good route. It's a good throw.
It's just a dig with a corner, very simple. So it beats a lot of coverages. So, I mean, hey, run what's simple, run what works. So here we'll just see power football. And Edwards just
cut.
Oh my!
One cut and gone.
Oh my! So they loaded the wrong side of the box. Is what it comes down to. If you run it a little bit, you'll see them all motion over. You'll see them talk to him, and then look at this. What's on this side? Just look at this side of the center.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that side's good. So if they run the ball to the power side, Washington will be fine. But if they don't,
it's 3 on 3.
1, 2, 3, 4 against
the center is 4. Yeah,
4 on 4. And you know what happens? They all go inside. So what's even better than that? It's a 2 on 2.
That's what I was going to say. It's not even just I went back too far. It's not even just the alignment, it's also what they do post alignment. You have to, like, from the defensive side, you can't just allow this overloaded side to go unpunished. You got an offensive lineman back here playing wing, so you have to adjust to this. You can't just let them power football, to that strong side, because that's just, I mean, that just looks silly. So you're going to have to change your alignment to it. You're going to have to bump over. I get that.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a problem with the alignment here. The problem is everybody just they just go inside again. Everybody. I mean, the both linebackers that you're looking at there, they just feed themselves into the teeth of the O line. I don't know about it. I mean, you really got all three backers. You got all three guys that just run themselves into it. And I understand they're seeing Edwards take his steps towards that power side. So,
But have they ever heard of counter, which Michigan
mm,
runs a lot?
exactly. That's what I was going to say. So how have we not learned, especially even just the last play we watched or two plays ago, when you had that, cutback, just one cut and boom, he's gone. I don't know how we're not learning, like, hey, as a linebacker, we have to read here. We can't just run ourselves into it. Like, if you're the Mike and you see an open gap, which we saw in that one play, then yeah, that's a little bit different. But when you got, I mean, you have a lot of stuff tangled up here. You have that whole power side accounted for by your numbers. And if you are playing on that weak side, you can't just run yourself into that all that mess. That's what they want, because if there is any kind of cutback and you run yourself into that mess where you already have 80 of your players, then that's just another person that you're taking away from that weak side. And counter, there's just nobody there. Even the safety, talking about, I don't know what he is. I guess he's a linebacker, 11. He's further back. Whether it is a safety type or a linebacker, he's playing linebacker in this one, and he's running himself up too. There's just no deeper player there. You get one great block by 18 getting downfield and getting in front of the actual safety number 7, and Edwards is gone again. Here's the better copy of it. I like this look a lot. So here's your better example as far as your numbers game. Everybody over here on the offensive left side, and you got 1, 2, 3, plus you got that backer who is coming. He looks like he's about to come in this gap again, though. Where you have this shaded, like the majority of it shaded, whose gap is that? Who's responsible here? We got a defensive tackle who's coming inside, like he's rushing inside, and you got a linebacker who does the same thing. Oh, so somebody's wrong. Both guys take this inside.
And that might be 11's fault, because before the play, we saw 11 talk to this guy right here.
True.
And say something. He might have said, hey, this time go inside, when he could have went right here, had the linebacker feel, and, stop them for a 1 yard gain, maybe 3 yard gain. But instead, they take it about 45 yards to the house.
And then this is something that I always, gap soundness and gap responsibility and doing your job, and not, overrunning things and trying to do somebody else's job. If everybody gets their gap here, this is not a touchdown. But instead, you got two guys going to the same spot. Edwards sees it, puts his foot in the ground. There is a massive hole over there. 18 gets a good block downfield. It's, this play is also determined by what happens over there. He does a great job getting in front of his guy.
Both of them guys slant outside. So
they do. So that means they're not responsible for the gap. So that is just just a free play. Washington just gives a free play to Michigan, as they did multiple times in this first quarter.
Oh, here we go again with a run. This time it's Blake Corum. So then just before we go any further,
yep,
look at this push. This is 4 yards down the field. These defensive linemen are pushed. Just to start off, by the time your running back gets the ball in his hands and the defensive line is 4 yards down the field, that is not a good sign. Just the explosion from that offensive line is insane.
So your pushback really is up here.
Yeah, with the line, and then the linebackers.
And then you really just they get
to the next level with the linebackers.
You got your offensive line getting to your second level, which is what you want from the offensive perspective, and what you don't want from the defense perspective. You do not want offensive linemen with heads of steam getting your hands on your linebackers. I've probably selling a broken record. I say that multiple times, but your D line, they need to engage heavier with offensive line. Now, here's also kind of a strange alignment. a little
Yeah,
bit here.
yeah, because we have a bunch at the top of the
Mhm.
screen, and like look at how many people are here.
It's a lot of
6
space.
people, 6-on-6. And then down at the bottom, you have 4-on-3. So why are you trying to, like, you're covering the wrong side of the field? And like, look at this gap. This gap is huge. I would just full on power attack that gap. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, I'd run straight at it.
So my guess here is that this this play is after the one we just watched, where they run counter and the one step gone, Edwards cuts through because they felt maybe like they went too far over to the bunch side in that previous play. So in this play, we are not going to stack the strong side, the overloaded side. We're going to have a backer one gap over on the weak side, and then we're going to have the other gap or the other backer right over the guard. That way they have an easier time getting to that cutback if the cutback is there, if that's what they run. So I think they're compensating for a previous mistake. And then you also have, look at the top of the screen. I'm assuming that's the corner, and then you got a safety. You got those guys playing 8-9 yards off the ball off this bunch. Now they're obviously worried about something deeper. These receivers releasing, fair enough. But like you're talking about here with Michigan and what they want to do and who they have in the game, they have 18 who does catch passes, and they obviously have Roman up there, number one. So and Roman blocks. When we seen him block, 18 definitely blocks. That was what happened on the last play. So they got guys who can do both things. But to me, with what Michigan has shown they want to do, which is run the football, you should be more concerned about that. Leave your deep safety back. Make sure that you got everybody accounted for man wise if those receivers release, and you have a guy back to not let anything get over top of you. If you do that, you at least account for the possibility of pass, but you still are defending run, because when Michigan gets a set like this, they're going to want to run the football right at it. And that's exactly what they do.
Yeah, and Blake Corum just makes a cut in the hole and takes it for a long gain.
Michigan had a chance on this drive to put Washington away in the first quarter. And the score here is 14-3. Got Michigan, who's really driving the ball very well. Washington has been stopped already once, and then they've been held to a field goal. And I mean, obviously, it's still very early in the game, and I know that Washington can score points, but you're talking about a deficit
21
difference,
to 3.
a 21-3 difference. That is a mighty big deficit to try and come back from, especially with a team that is scoring at will because of their run game. They had a couple passes. JJ had that great one early on,
Yeah.
but for the most part, they're eating you alive on the run game. We don't have all the plays where they're running, 5, 4, 6, 7 yards a carry, but they're getting those, and then they're getting the big chunk plays on top of it, just by misassignment and misalignment. So this was, a good stop. We don't have it in it, but this is a good stop by Washington's defense after this play to hold them to a field goal here, because if they don't, I mean, you're looking at a very different looking game. Actually, they don't hold them to a field goal, do they?
No, they do.
Okay. I mean, the score wise, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Here you go. Here's the
this
play.
is
Yep.
this is 3rd and 4, and they just make a great play right here to hold them. They play to the sticks right here, and just very tight DB play. Which, I mean, we knew they'd have good DB play, but you see Michigan use their motion right here just to get them off balance, get them a different look. Because Michigan loves using motion to sway the numbers, and you have him right on Muhammad, which is probably Washington's best corner and
Mm-hmm.
probably best DB in general. And he just makes a great play in man coverage right here. And that's all you can really say to it. I think JJ probably should have went somewhere else. I know he's wanting the first down, but he has legs too, and he can use them to extend
So
a play.
I might be misremembering. I know that they threw the ball here on 3rd down. I know they run at least once. I can't remember. I think they run it on 1st down. Did they throw it on 2nd down, or did they run it both on 1st and 2nd down?
Back it up, and you'll see the play clock run or not.
Although I guess the play we're in the first quarter here, down near the 10, so they must run the ball twice.
No, I don't think so because the play clock ain't running.
All right, so they passed on 2nd down. Yeah, they did. Clock's you mean the actual clock? Clock's not running.
Yeah, clock's not running.
Yeah, so clock's not running. So they passed on 2nd down and didn't get it. They ran on first down and they got 6 yards. This is just like a whole different ball game. It doesn't matter. But Michigan, why are we getting cute? You're running the ball over Washington. I understand that your first down play, it might not have been spectacular, but it's 3rd and 4. You missed your previous pass, or it might have gone out of bounds. Or no, that doesn't happen anymore. So you missed your previous pass. The clock stopped. Why are we throwing the football all of a sudden when we're having our way with running the football super well? I get you want to have passes here and there, and they've already shown that. But when you get down into this section where you've already exposed that they're not able to stop your run game quite yet, they get a little bit too cute for my taste. If they stop you, they stop you. But you know what definitely will stop you? Incomplete passes.
Yeah.
Now I get the philosophy by mixing it up, but if you're running the ball as effectively as Michigan ran that ball in the first quarter and the beginning of the second quarter, run the ball again, get into the end zone and score another touchdown.
And why throw that so early? Because you have Corum running it out of the bout. Like he ain't getting touched there. So he had Corum right here. And I mean, you can see the second linebacker that he's inside start to come down on Corum, but he wouldn't have time. See, he would have to go outside around number 10 right here. So I mean, Corum would have got a first down. You just have to wait on it and be patient and take your.
Yeah. So if you're the quarterback there, you're rushing this throw a little bit. And I guess that's something else that I don't love. And JJ did this a couple times, which he for the second and the third quarter, he did not make great decisions and great throws all the time, which allowed Washington to stay in this game because I felt like Michigan had an opportunity to put them away multiple times. One on this drive and then a couple times later. And you'll just see him not make great decisions. Like right here, you got a one-on-one against their best corner. And I mean,
that ain't even your best wide receiver.
No, and he's step for step with him, and it's behind anyway. So it's not a great throw. It's good coverage. It's not your number one guy. I just don't understand. I know I'm nitpicking here, and the game's already over, and it doesn't matter. But it's just interesting to me that they went with this, just because if JJ takes a second, I know that the pocket's collapsing a little bit. Just run outside the pocket or step up and go around because there's a little bit of a lane that he might be able to sneak through to his left, and there's a massive one that he can just jet out to his right, and then you can scan the field. You give your receivers more time to make plays. Hey, if number 8's here covered on the out, he can turn up field and try and take it vertical. If he doesn't do that, you probably got somebody else. I know you have a receiver out in the end zone, and then you could also have an option to run the ball. So he rushes this. He tries to make that throw, right away, but it's not there. And again, going back to what we said earlier, just run the football. You are effectively just demolishing Washington's run game or run defense right now. Run it and score this touchdown. And, Washington's out of this game at the start of the second quarter. Well, moving on. We'll stop talking about it.
Yeah, you'll see JJ roll out. He does this once a game, roll out and make a sideline pass. This time, though, what happens is Washington and their DBs have that elite level of play where they get a knockout right here.
It's a great play.
I mean, yeah, they need this. And number 7,
Hampton.
Yeah, Hampton is one of the ones that they had to rely on later in the game to stop the run. But looky here, he's in man coverage against their possession tight end who has the ball in his hands, has it inbounds, and he just makes a great play punching the ball out.
This is obviously a bang play. 18. When that ball gets into your hands, those hands are shooting down. They should be. That's all receivers, tight ends, anyone running backs too. You catch a ball, you bring that ball into your body as quick as possible. Why? That's why. DBs are trained and ones that are trained well, they are trained to once a catch is made. If your guy catches a ball, you still have an opportunity to make a play. Find the ball and punch it out. And the best way for DBs to be able to punch that ball out is if it's being held up in front of them in the air. Obviously, I know that we're talking about, half a second, a quarter of a second, but you can start getting your hands down. If you start bringing them down here, it makes it a lot harder for that DB to see the ball and punch the ball.
Have the stop for Washington, have the first down for Michigan, and they just do the same daggone thing that they did earlier.
I don't understand it.
Same daggone thing. Still in man coverage. This time it was at least to Roman Wilson.
True.
But look at the way this DB breaks on this.
So that's a linebacker, number 5.
So he was inside.
Yep.
Of Roman Wilson, and I mean he just breaks on it so hard. Like look at him, he's right here, and he just instantly turns and burns, gets over the tight end who
Probably trying to set up a
stops,
pick here, but he gets over him. Tight end doesn't get to him quick enough. That's a
and
great
just makes
play.
that great play on the ball. That's what we were talking about. Just
Yep. They've been, that's a linebacker who, as far as reading run isn't always great, but that's a great play in coverage by a linebacker to get to their
Washington might
best
not
guy.
be able to stop the run, but in the Pac-12 they have learned to stop the pass.
I agree. Yeah, and then still not a great ball. One so your matchup wise, as a quarterback, you like that matchup. You're talking about a linebacker who a lot of times he plays inside, but anyway, a linebacker who is showing pressure and then bails out into coverage. So he steps behind, multiple steps behind your best receiver. You like that out route matchup. So I understand the thought process as far as why you went that way. That ball is too it's behind Roman here. So that's a hard play for him to make. Linebacker, he's making contact. We have it freeze framed here. So, it's a millisecond early, but whatever. It's a great play by him. He gets in front of the ball and he gets right to where the ball's going. You'd rather see that ball a little bit further. I don't think it would have mattered, honestly, because the linebacker makes such a good play and times it up just about perfect. But I know they ran the ball earlier in this drive because I remember this drive. And here's my thing: 3 yards a carry is not bad. I repeat, if you are getting 3 yards a carry, and I know we're counting fourth down here, but if you get 3 yards a carry, that is a first down.
That's why teams lived and died by what you'd call a 3 yards in a cloud of dust offense, as people would know it.
Correct. And I don't understand the thought. If you're going to go fourth down, that's fine. But and again, it's a matchup that you typically would like, but we've already shown that this play got defended really well. It's a different matchup, but still similar play. It got defended really well. We go right back to it it's not critical. You're up by 14 points, but run the football or do something different and don't give them the same look.
Well, you say it's not critical, but at the same time,
it puts them away.
There's 4:40 left in the second quarter.
Yeah.
Are you really going to give Washington a chance to score before the half? And that clock, you give them the ball with 4:44 left in the second quarter. I mean, they're going to do something with that, and they did. They did. Scored.
They got the ball back and they scored, as we saw earlier, on a busted coverage. But that's just what we're talking about here. Michigan had opportunities. I understand that there were times this game was close and that Washington looked like they were, coming back into the game, but Michigan had some chances to really put them away early, and they just didn't take them. And some of it, we don't have the play, but there's a screen play Michigan runs, and they just run it terribly, and it's a tackle for loss. They just got a little bit too cute for me sometimes. They just didn't, they didn't stick to their guns, that their bread and butter, like Chance likes to talk about. They got away from a little bit, and instead of putting Washington away like they could, they let them hang around. And in here, just your situation wise, you got no timeouts. 42 seconds left. You're trying to get some points on the board. You got to put the football. Super effective play. 20 yards, stops the clock for a second. And then they go down, they kick a field goal.
Yeah, and they do a way better job here on 3rd and 2 of getting rallying to the football and stopping that run. Even with the motion there from the tight end, even from 89 going outside on a pass. So they do a great job slanting, having all gaps contained. So they do a good job.
Yep, you got a heavier box. You got 8 men in it. You got a lot of guys coming downward motion. So if you look at this, watch the aggressiveness this time. You're selling out here. All right. They ran the ball too well on us in that first quarter. They hurt us multiple times. Boom. That snap.
1 yard in the backfield.
We are selling out. Their defensive line takes great positioning. That causes the offensive linemen to have to concentrate on the defensive line because they got a little bit of penetration. They held up the offensive line. Linebackers had free gaps to run through and make plays, and they did. And 42, know why he's not a starter for them. I know he plays a lot. He's a Mike right here. He reads well and he finds the ball. I mean, look at that. It's great pathing, great aggressiveness, great pathing. He is their best inside backer, at least in this game. I don't know why I don't know why he wasn't in the game more, but he affects this game multiple times in a major way.
Yeah, and here we see him do it again. Just get that downfield pressure, and they get into the backfield, 1 yard back in the backfield. And I mean, honestly, I'd say Michigan has them outboxed here. So they have a lot of people on that line of scrimmage. And Washington just tightens everything up in the middle. They have their guys outside still.
Yep.
And
everything's accounted for.
Everything's accounted for. You see Blake try to do what Donovan did earlier, go inside and balance it out. And what does he do? He meets a pack of Huskies.
I mean, it's clearly that going into halftime, right? Okay, we can't let them do this. So we're going to sell out on the run, and we're not going to let them beat us with that. And we're going to trust our DBs and man on man. We're going to hope that JJ can't make those throws. And to be fair, like, from the defensive side, you want to take away what the offense does best, and the offense exposed you in Washington or Michigan's offense exposed Washington's defense early in the game with the run game. So going into halftime, the adjustment was we're going to take away what they want to do. And if they beat us with what they don't want to do, good on them. And you can see that here with the way they attack. Defensive line play just more aggressive, quicker off the ball, which that definitely helps. And then linebackers do a better job of getting up, closing down gaps. They don't go into wrong spots. Defensive line makes things a mess, and linebackers fill in the spots where they need to. Safety comes down on the run. Like, number 20 is a safety here. He's 3 yards off the ball or off the line of scrimmage. So they attacked the Michigan run game, and it helped them a ton in the second and third quarter, where they basically made Michigan pretty ineffective. They had your little stunt switch call here. You bring up a lot of pressure. You back your
but it
DTs
also,
out.
when you do that, it widens up that gap in the middle here.
Correct.
Like, you're bringing your 2 linebackers in the middle and them A gaps, and you're expanding your defensive tackles out to even like the wide B. So they're both on the outside shoulder of the guard in a 3 technique right now.
We got 33 with mugging the A's, so that's what they'll call it. You're mugging the A with your linebackers, and you're playing 33 with your DTs.
So I mean, exactly where them linebackers go, that's your running lane for JJ McCarthy right there in the middle.
Yeah, and then the one thing that you really don't like here is you show that pressure, but then you bail them, and they get their heads turned. At least one of them, you can tell, like in pass coverage, he turns his head away from the quarterback, and they're so far down the field. And this is a difference between just really well coached defenses and
play
ones
to the sticks.
You play exactly. You play to the sticks. Now watch. All right, here's our yellow line. There is nobody on it. 10 is over here and covers why he's on it. Nobody's on the stick.
He was over here. This dude was right here.
He had to come downhill to get to it, and that's an open field tackle at that point against McCarthy, who is a good runner. That's just not good defense. You got to know where you're at. You have them pinned behind their own 10. It's 3rd and 8. Play the stick, and you bail your linebackers, so you're going to create a running lane for your quarterback there because you put both of your tackles into 3s. They're going to go into the gap in front of them, which they did, and there's going to be a big spot in the middle where there's no spy, there's nothing. So it's just very interesting. Like, I like the change up. The stem is what they'll call it. They'll call stem, and you'll see that change. Whether defensive linemen will move around, or sometimes, like we see here earlier, you got linebackers who come up, so defense linemen have to widen out. But then when they bail out of here, look, you can see it. There is a hole, and it maintains the whole way through. I know the pocket collapses some because they do a good job getting to him, but there is a lane here, and then there is no containment for the quarterback. There's nobody spying him, which I just don't know how you don't account for that. But they didn't, and McCarthy made them pay. And then he, 2 missed tackles up in the open field. He split the defenders like you're taught to do as a runner. So that one was good. And then here, selling out down on the run, which they come down the end, and the D lineman attack the running back. You're your linebackers are already engaged up in the middle. A good job by offensive linemen to get to second level right away. It was really quick. They knew, what you had here. You had an opportunity for the read. So let those defensive linemen crash in, let JJ read it, let him pull it, and first down and another, missed tackle.
Michigan does a really good job of running the ball just in general, and JJ definitely helped with that. And you'll see the play fake even just stuns their linebackers. It stunned their end. Just watching that play action motion there, and their tight end 18 just makes a really good catch here over the middle and makes a really good run after the catch. So I mean, he does a very good job there on that one.
I do want to point out too, just something. If you look at the timestamp, we're at 3:06 in the third quarter. So I mean, those are two big plays that JJ had, but Michigan did not score there. The big thing that happened was the field changed for Michigan. They were 2 drives in a row. They had found themselves like more backed up into their own end zone. Field position matters in a game like this. Tight game, 7 points. Both teams' offenses are stalling now. There's not a lot of good offensive play. The second and third quarter were really sloppy for the offenses, and good plays by defense, but it was a mixture of both. And when you're talking about games like that, field position is king. So those plays, they didn't affect Michigan's scoring necessarily in those drives. They had to punt away, but they did move the field of position 30 yards. And that's a huge difference when you're talking about, a good punt. Washington's punter, unsung hero in this game. His punts didn't look great, but I think they were designed to be line drives on purpose and just let them roll. They were hoping Michigan was going to give them a free possession, I'm assuming. But they didn't. They stayed away. And because of that, those balls that the punter was kicking, they rolled 15, 20 yards sometimes. So that field position stuff really matters in a game like this. And you saw Michigan be able to get some plus yardage back where now, okay, we're playing a little more on the even front. When we get this ball back, so now we're talking about, now we don't have the ball behind the 10 anymore. Now we're behind the 30. It's 1st and 10 on the 30. That changes a lot. It opens up your playbook. It allows you more space. And it just keeps things a little bit more fresh. And then now you got the play action. JJ makes a play, throw down the middle of the field, and this is great freeze frame. It was high, not a great ball because it was high, but it's right in the middle of 3 defenders. It's a good spot to throw it if you're going to hit it, and his guy saves him. And it's one of those ideas where you're putting the ball where hopefully your guy can go get it. And 18 does a great job saving him. You're probably looking at a pick there if he doesn't do that, maybe, or at least a tip ball. So 18 makes a huge play in the middle of the field, and it keeps that drive going, which sets Michigan up for this.
Oh, that's just dirty. Their use of their little sniffer out there, just rotten motion right there with their tight end or their wing, I guess, but he's a tight end. In motion right there. Oh my! I mean, just for the kick, it's pretty impressive. And Blake Corum just sets back there. He's very patient. He's not running hard. He's just very patient. He takes his jab step left, just to give the puller time from the guard and the tight end time to get in front of him. He'll take his jab step left and then follow right in behind him, just to give him time. So I mean, it kind of looks like a counter, but I just call it a jab step or a rocker step, just to give them time to get their pull off and their motion off. But it also could help with the linebackers taking the wrong angle coming downfield.
So I do want to point out here, this is a better job from initially, like especially from just positioning standpoint. Or look at this. You were talking about his counter step. That counter step does get 5 to take a little bit of an extra step, but he notices what's happening, and he knows that his defensive linemen are crashing inside. So he does a good job of getting to this outside. Now there's a lead blocker there, and he takes him on, but he does set an edge. He gets he attacks that shoulder. He attacks the outside shoulder, which is exactly what you're supposed to do with that lead blocker. Because if that running back goes outside, you've got an arm on him. You can slow him down. You can get that tackle. So he attacks the right, that outside shoulder, right shoulder of the tight end. It forces Corum inside, which inside is where the rest of your defense is. So this play should be made. Dirty little move by Corum right there on the safety slash, or that's a linebacker on the linebacker coming up. Bad angle. and he just he gets fooled by a great running back, and that will happen sometimes. And then you just have two linemen downfield to block your safety. Seven doesn't have a chance. And then as far as the rest of the defense, where are they at? Because that's one of the differences that you see when you watch Michigan's defense is they're rallying to the ball. They're swarming to it. When that ball is in the open field, you got everybody going towards that ball.
It's mainly going to be number 12 or 13.
13.
Right here.
13's lost. 8's lost. They're down in the backfield. So that was a good job by the linebacker, the initial linebacker. He set that edge. He did his job, but the rest of the defense failed him, and Michigan was able to add on, to go up 2 scores.
And then to put this game away, they get in the eye, they send some motion over, snap it on the motion, and just straight on power eye, so it right up the middle into A gap, and they're in for a touchdown. Puts the game away, and so that's a great way to end the game for Michigan, because I think that's how they won the game, running the ball.
Yep, there was a couple key moments, like we talked about. 18 had a couple big catches in the middle of the field, and of course that one early on in the first quarter to Roma, and there were a couple here and there.
McCarthy had his good run on third down.
Yes, and McCarthy had 2 good runs that helped the field position issue that they were dealing with at the moment, which you never know. You never know what happens when you're trying to punt from your own end, which is what would have happened if they don't get that big third down that he runs it, especially because of where he ends up in the pocket. He's like a step into the end zone initially. So big plays made when they needed to by McCarthy, but not great quarterback play. What you saw was a good run game. And you saw Washington's defense just not able to do enough to stop it. Credit to them in the second, third quarter, they sold out on it. And that is when Michigan finally made them pay a couple times down the field with the pass, and then again with McCarthy's legs. And because of that, it backed Washington off just a tad, just enough to get them to be able to run the ball and get comfortable running the ball again. There is something too that there is no way of knowing. Obviously, the game's over, but as I mentioned before, it did feel like that Michigan got a little bit too cute for my taste in the second and third quarter. I understand Washington was selling out on the run, but there were a couple of drives where I felt like they got away from their run game more than they needed to, again, it's okay that you got 3-4 yards. That's a first down if you're getting 3-4 yards every carry. And I think that there was a couple times where they're just like, they're selling out so hard here, we need to take advantage of it, and they weren't able to, which is why they got stifled for most of the middle quarters there. And then in the fourth quarter, Michigan got to turn it back on again, and by the score, they blew them out. That's a 3-touchdown win in the national championship. It's a great win for Michigan. It's a great job by their run game to bookend. You had a great first quarter, had a great fourth quarter. Washington couldn't hold up. And then, of course, from the defensive side, Michigan's defense did enough. There were a couple busted plays. You're always going to have that. That's kind of the nature of playing DB. You're going to give some stuff up. But how do you respond to it? We've talked about that before, and we talked about that in Washington's favor when they were playing Texas. So, in this case, there were a couple of blown coverages that Michigan had, but overall, they were able to stifle Washington's offense, and Michigan's offense got to run the football quite often.
Yeah, I don't think Washington ever really had a chance of winning this game. But with that being said, Michigan controlled the game like we thought they would, and they ran the ball exactly like we thought they would. And that's ultimately what put this game away. So props to Michigan. Congratulations to the Wolverines. Until your title gets stripped away from you, congratulations. And, we hope to see you next year playing a great defense again with Harbaugh. For the Locked In crew, this is Chance and Rev. We'll talk to y'all later.
Everyone here at Locked In wants to say thank you to all of you who have subscribed to, liked, and commented on our channel. We've had a blast bringing great college football analysis to you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. If you want to share your thoughts, we'd love to see your comments. Till next time, stay locked in.